Evening and welcome to tonight's show. How you doing? It feels like it's been a million years. I know it hasn't been a million years. We were supposed to do this last night, but I got tied up, so we had to push. I hate pushing, but sometimes you got to push, especially if you're in the delivery room. If you don't push, there's going to be problems. It's always good to push. So tonight we're talking about Babylon. Just a quick overview before we bring out our guest du jour. One, we have Franche Coma of the Misfits coming on the show. You're not going to want to miss that. That is going to be a deluxe episode. We're going to be live. Join us in the chat. Do not miss this show. It's going to be a great show. We had Mr. Jim on last year. That was a smash. Two, Erin from Last Rockers TV. You've seen her all over social media. She got the punky, spiky haircut. She got all the spikes coming out. I always see her interviewing all sorts of punk rock musicians. She's got a growing channel. I'm super in awe of her grinding. I want to pick her brain. It's going to be great. She's going to be on Pizza Punks. That's going to be really fun. Lastly, I haven't posted this show yet, but Sharpie Riot, CEO of RiotStickers.com, official sponsor of the Frumess channel. He's coming on. We're doing a very special. He came up with this idea for a Misfits show, Misfits theme type show. He had a question that he posted me. We're doing like our own top 5 list. He's got top 5. I got my top 5. It's going to be really, really fun. So check those out. Those are all coming up. Make sure you're subscribed. Smash that subscription button. Isn't that what all the kids are saying these days? So tonight, our guest waiting in the digital green room is none other than Nathan D. Ludwig. You know him. He's been on this show a million times. This guy's a Renaissance man. He does everything. He produces movies. He runs a film festival. He's an author, a writer, filmmaker, all that stuff and more. Guy, super passionate lover of film, all film, as am I, which makes perfect sense to have him for the show. In fact, it basically his idea. He would, or at least he said, "Hey, I want a podcast about this." So I was like, "Yeah, hey, I'll podcast on the opening of an envelope is what I'll do." So we're here tonight to mainly talk about Babylon. I'm sure it will bleed into other things. But let's bring him out. Let's hear what's going on. And yeah, enough of the Michigas here. Hello, Nathan. Oh shit, I can't hear you.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Oh, now I can hear you. Okay. Yeah, there you are. Great. Hey, what's up?
Good evening.
Good evening and welcome. Welcome. You're wearing my hat tonight. That's my hat.
Oh, yeah.
I just wasn't wearing it tonight. You're trying to copy me.
The Genreblast hat.
Yeah, what's your problem, man? What's your problem? That's not cool.
I kind of am partial to it.
Yeah, I would imagine so. How you doing, man? I feel like I've kind of spoken to you a little bit, but I've just been seeing you've been a busy little beaver.
Yeah, I got another book coming out. Can you believe that?
Bro, I got to tell you, you are, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, I want to hear all about it. Third of all, I got to tell you, you got me thinking about like the book thing. I'm thinking like, it's very inspiring. I'm like, I kind of want to do it too. I'm just like trying to figure out how to do it. But like I was telling Paul Grammatico, he was on the show the other day. I was like, I want to do it. So I'm going to figure out how to do it. And when I do, I'll do it. I'm going to do it through Frumess. That's what I'll do.
You got to diversify your portfolio, man. Just get into everything. I love it.
Just get into everything. Is this the Comfy Nihilist?
The Comfy Cozy Nihilist. It's my first short story collection. So yeah, it's mined from. There's a couple previously published stories from anthologies that I felt would work in this situation. There's a bunch of stories that I created just for this anthology and a couple stories that I kind of converted from short screenplays. You know how it goes with short screenplays.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't shoot them yourself, that's it. Where else are they going to go? Your friends will read them. That's it. So I turned them into short stories for this collection. So,
well, that's what, when you said that to me initially, like a while ago, that's what made me think, holy shit, I got like 1,000 short screenplays. I just got to figure out how to adapt these things. And, I could literally shill them right here on the channel. That's what I'll do. Why not?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's great. And also, So if you guys, if anybody knows what Horror Pack is, Nathan produced a anthology film called Worst Laid Plans. It is a really, really fun anthology. If you like anthology horror, you're going to really enjoy this. I've seen it. I've had the privilege of seeing it already. It's part of the horror pack. What is Horror Pack, Nathan?
Horror Pack is run by a really cool dude named Chris Etheridge, and it's basically a subscription.
Who's also been on this channel as well.
It's a monthly subscription box for people who love horror movies. You can do DVD or Blu-ray. You can go month to month. You can do a 3-month plan. I think you can do a 6-month plan, a year-long plan. And every box you get 4 movies, 4 Blu-rays or 4 DVDs, depending on what you do. And I've been subscribed for a little while, and I always get at least 2 movies that I don't own. And I own a lot of movies, as you can see. So it's a really good service if you're really into horror, or you're looking to get into horror and you're looking to fill in your library. They have good stuff. It's not a bunch of junk. You know, I got the
curated and whatnot.
Yeah, the box that came out in December, I got The Lodge on Blu-ray, which is a great friggin' movie.
Wow.
So, have you seen The Lodge?
Yeah.
That's a
brutal
movie. Yeah, and I've been wanting.
What was that? That's a second. That's the follow up for another filmmaker. What was the first thing they did?
Oh gosh, I can't.
They did something else. Almost positive. There was another movie that from the maker of The Lodge, but yeah, brutal movie. Totally.
Yeah, it's a great service, and we have our film Worst Laid Plans. We're doing a limited run to fill our backer, needs for the film.
Right.
And to give it, Horror Packets to put it in their box for a month. So
it's beautiful.
They're allowing us to let people. It's usually a surprise, but they're letting people know that you can get Worst Laid Plans collector's limited edition. January. Sign up by January 15th. Get your box of horror movies. Yeah.
Do it. We'll put the link down somewhere. Yeah. I forgot to add that. And yeah, so I mean, Nate literally he's doing a million gajillion things, but as well as all the things that Nate does, he also watches movies, and he watched Babylon. I watched Babylon. Let's just tear into this sucker. First of all, this movie was marketed so poorly in terms of what it really was.
This is a tragedy.
Tragedy.
It's a tragedy. This movie bombed. And it's an $80 million movie, and it's only made $10, $15 million or something. It's just, this movie is, I had a smile on my face. My wife and I went to go see it. I had a smile on my face the entire time. Just from one scene to the next. Are we doing spoilers?
Yeah, totally.
We're doing spoilers.
Spoil the shit out of this thing,
dude. The first scene is a guy trying to get an elephant to a Hollywood party, and the elephant takes a giant shit all over him and his friends. And then they cut to the party, and there's just a giant 20s orgy, a roaring 20s orgy going on at this party that in this house that is basically
bacchanal
nowhere, that it would become the Hollywood Hills basically. So.
I didn't even pick up on that. Right. Of course, the Hollywood Hills. Because it's desert. I mean, they're literally in the desert.
They're probably on Mulholland or, Laura
something like that.
Or something, But this movie is top 3 films of the year I've seen so far. Last year for me, it was Nightmare Alley. It was, you froze up. Jeff, you froze. Just kidding. I didn't freeze. I don't even know if we're live right now. So Jeff went away. Where did he go? I guess if he went away, that means the feed is gone. I don't know. It says we're live and recording. Jeff. Am I running the show by myself now? This is so weird. Where did Jeff go? So anyways, if you're watching, what was your favorite films from last year and this year? I was going to say my top 3.
Boy, I hate it when that happens. That is the worst.
I was like, am I running this thing by myself now?
No, that is just so the pits, man. Thank you for hanging in there. Sometimes it was one of us froze or the system freezes. Mm-hmm. I miss StreamYard. I got to go back to StreamYard. I'm just so tired of this nonsense. Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know. I don't know where what were you?
So I was going to say this movie. One of my favorites of the year. I say last year, kind of bringing it back to last year. My 3 favorite movies last year were Nightmare Alley, Last Duel, Ridley Scott, that great freaking movie.
Love that. Rashomon.
and Teton from the director of Raw. Have you seen Teton yet?
Teton from the director of Raw. Is that the one where she fucks a car?
Yes, that movie is awesome.
Yeah, that was crazy. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I just knew she was fucking a car, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Those are my top 3 last year. This year, Bones and All, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Have you seen that yet?
Seen them all.
And Babylon.
Loved it.
Top 3, right? You know, this movie is so much fun, and the marketing does not. The trailers made it seem like, oh, it's about Hollywood. We'll just get drunk and have a good time. This movie is so beyond that. It is so debauched, and it tells it like it is. A lot of people don't realize how dark and seedy and Wild West early Hollywood was.
Oh yeah, pre-Hays Code, sure.
Pre-Hays Code, and it's just like Casino. It's like the Casino before they regulated, before the FBI got involved, and before it got gentrified and commercialized. The Casino was the Wild West. It was created by gangsters, and Hollywood.
I understand why you're going with the Casino vibe. I don't think it is there. There's a very specific the relationship between Margot, whatever her name is, and the dude, the Mexican guy. What's his face? What's his name?
Sure. Margot Robbie is basically Ginger in this movie. She's
right.
Town. And the scene that ties it all together is at the very end when they show New Hollywood coming in, and they show that reel of all the new stars. Hey, I'm so and so. I'm so and so.
Right.
They show all the buildings being demolished and all the new studio lots. That's exactly like Casino.
So that in that way, yes, that's why when you said Casino, I was like, okay, I see where Nate has the Casino vibe. And I have to tell you, I really want to thank you, because I had absolutely no interest in seeing this movie. And when you said Casino, I said, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. That was the hook that I needed to go to the theater to see it, because I was just like, not even going to bother. And I'll tell you something. So this movie. So what I love about this movie, first of all, Nate's a proponent of the Casino angle, which is there. I come at this movie from the Boogie Nights angle, which is also very there in the sense in the sense that Boogie Nights might as well spiritually, and even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, all 3 of these films are in my opinion, spiritually in the same cinematic history in different periods of the history. Whereas, Boogie Nights,
I don't know if I would put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in there. That one plays a little fast and loose with history, where I feel this one's a little bit more accurate.
But both of those, both Boogie Nights and
the characters are fictional, but they're playing within the constraints of history. Whereas Casino is doing the opposite, basically.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, we could maybe Once Upon a Time doesn't fit in there
Boogie Nights,
as well.
I'll go with Boogie Nights.
Absolutely. Yeah, but Boogie Nights, hands down, 100%, feels like the future of what Babylon is in that kind of way. And there's definitely this moment that we could talk about in a little bit, where the Boogie Nights very famously sort of recreates the Wonderland murders in its own kind of way. And this movie is like, okay, hold my beer, and then goes and gives us a scene that is pretty much beat for beat like the same sort of scene, but just 1,000 times crazier than you could ever possibly imagine. And when we were in that part of the movie, I was in cinematic nirvana. Actually, I was really in cinematic nirvana.
Are we talking about the Tobey Maguire scene?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That was nirvana. I was in nirvana for that. But when I was really, the other thing that really, like, the 2 moments, the 2 highest points. The other point was when they transferred over to talkies.
That scene on the soundstage is
the soundstage. I mean, that should win. That scene alone should make them win an Oscar. That scene is so, the way it's directed, the sound design, the sound design in the whole movie is tremendous. But in particular,
it's a very dark scene, but it's also very funny too. And if you're a filmmaker or if you've been on a set, you can relate.
Oh my God.
so much to what's going on. Like the sound guy's got to get involved in everything. He's fucking up the takes, and
it was so real. It was so true. And now here's the thing that's interesting. Yeah, it's a fictional history that's taking place like it during like the accurate period of time. What was happening was as follows. You know, you had a lot of silent stars that were not able to make this transition. It was probably the most significant transition in all of cinema, really, because acting literally had to change overnight.
Even more so than black and white to color. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The biggest transition ever.
Because you had people, you know, the way of acting silently was so much different. Composition was different. Everything was different. You know, it changed. Having sound changed everything. Not only did you have to memorize dialogue now, but you had to, I mean, you had to, one half of, some would say the bigger half of filmmaking was born, which is sound. And there were some silent stars who didn't have voices. Their voices weren't good voices. They didn't have the mid-Atlantic accent, which is a fake accent. That all the Hollywood stars,
they just couldn't deliver the lines properly.
Or they just couldn't deliver the lines properly, or they didn't have the right diction, which they tackle in the movie. But that was a very real thing. And actors who were at the height, the zenith, were suddenly washed up because they couldn't make that transition. It's profound time. And that this dude decided to make a movie around that era. And, you know, that was kind of like, that was there. Like that aspect I was just talking about is there, but it's not really in the forefront as much as, say, just like the sort of the spectacle of it all, you know, like it wasn't, you know, it was interesting. You had a lot of different arcs going on. You really just had a revolving cast of characters, much like Boogie Nights, just going through the times, you know, negotiating the ever-changing, you know, backdrop of Hollywood. It was as it was developing into the studio system from the silent system. And it was just fascinating, man. Like people are dying. I don't know if that's real. Like people really getting snuffed like that as extras.
And like the guy that dies in the camera room on the soundstage, I believe that happened. Absolutely.
I believe that happened, but I'm talking about
the guy who gets impaled on set.
Yeah, like they have extras that are just impaling each other in the field and like really like cutting each other up in the background. I mean, I wouldn't put it past
going for it. Yeah, I believe maybe not specifically, but I think he's probably just trying to capture the fact that it was
right. That was more hyperbole.
No safety. There's no OSHA.
Right.
There's a fire on set, and everyone's like, just let it burn. You know, everybody's just watching it burn. You know, yeah, and people are getting impaled. They were probably just taking their job way too seriously. But with all the danger, that whole scene on the Kinoscope set out in the desert is fantastic. Like every scene in this movie is fantastic in its own way.
It was so rad, dude.
The magic of filmmaking. Yes, a guy gets killed and it's dangerous, but you know, it's like what he's trying to say is that movie making is dangerous, but it's an art. And this is something that will never be back again. And these are the good old days, in, you know, so to speak, as far as crazy filmmaking where there were no rules. You just had to get the shot, and that was it. Like when they finally get the shot, he gets there at magic hour at the last minute.
Yeah.
With the camera. And it's like, okay, we have enough time to shoot, you know, and they get it, man. That's a great scene. Just so good.
If you don't know what magic hour is, basically there is this moment between as the sun is setting, when it's right on the horizon, you have this, well, I mean, both visually, I guess maybe it's mainly a visual thing. It's just, you have this perfect amount of light for beautiful, the light is perfect, basically. That's what it means. It's called magic hour. And you have like a half-hour window to shoot in this magic hour. In fact, that movie, The Revenant, with Leonardo DiCaprio, was made almost exclusively during the magic hour, meaning that whenever they shot during magic hour, which means that or magic time, whatever the hell it's called, which means that it took a really long time to make the movie because they had a very small window to shoot.
They had to wait for that 30-minute window or whatever.
Right
Before the sun sets.
right
at dusk or whatever to shoot. That's crazy. Like
it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, it is the best lighting. It really is. I've shot at Magic Hour, and it's you can't replicate.
Beat it. You
It
can't
looks
beat it.
fantastic.
But in Babylon, that was also a great scene when he's rushing to get the camera, and that just so captures. I mean, this movie really captures what it is to make movies, and the idea that like the entire
he went through what? How many cameras did he go through? They broke like 10 cameras.
They broke 10 cameras. They send out this errand boy who rises to the top. You know, they send him out, and he grabs an ambulance. And like, you know, that's the other thing too, is that what causes this guy to rise up is two factors. One, he makes shit happen. You know, he's scrappy and ingenuitive. And two, he's in the right place at the right time. And those are like the two elements that you needed back then in order to make it in the business. You know, it wasn't about necessarily who you know, and it wasn't necessarily about, you know, how good you were. It was about, can you get shit done, and are you there at the right time, at the right place at the right time?
Yep.
And that was, and he just, you know, he's rushing to get the camera back, and the director's a German guy, which was so funny. Because, you know, the other thing too, to go back to the silent acting, you know, you think of German expressionist acting, which is something that actually Nicolas Cage, our wonderful icon Nicolas Cage, takes so much from German expressionist acting, which is why people say, oh, he doesn't know how to act. But really what he's doing is he's borrowing from these 1920 silent films where everything is super heightened. You know, he sat there studying these things. And so once
he absolutely knows how to act, he just needs to be directed. Yeah. That's all. He's an actor's actor.
Right.
He needs direction. So yeah, he's going to do all these shitty Blu-ray movies, you know, straight to Blu-ray movies. They're fine. But I mean, you know, like any other actor, they just need to be directed, you know? And when you find the right material with like a Werner Herzog, when he does Bad Lieutenant too, I mean,
yeah, dude,
fantastic stuff.
And then you see them fall off. They fall off because, you know, everybody's talking and they can't.
Yep.
You know, just down to it's super hot. The lights are super hot. The sweat dripping down on the page. Buckets. Yeah, they're causing the ink on the friggin' the type print to run.
Margot Robbie's got to do the same line over like 15 times in the movie.
Got to hit the mark.
You got to hit your mark. It was all. But the thing is, nowadays we're like, oh, that's all normal. Back then, that was all new to them. Everything about that was new. It didn't matter if you didn't hit your mark back in without sound or without any of that other stuff, because they were just shooting, basically. They were just shooting wild. So, I mean, yeah, you got to hit your mark on the sound stage. You got to make sure you're under the mic, because that's where the mark is. You got to say your line at a certain volume. You can't be too loud. You can't be too soft. You know, the microphones are in a certain space. They were just
right. Well, that was what
directional microphones.
That was where I was really laughing too, because, you know, I've run sound and picture on my own work, and it is, you know, if you have a stationary microphone, then the actor needs to be right directly in the pickup pattern, which is why that mark was so important. And when they suggest, well, just move the microphone, I also was laughing because sometimes it's a pain in the ass to move the microphone. And back then, this brand new technology, he's like, we're going to have to stop for 30 minutes to readjust the microphone hanging by these wires. It's like, it's insane. They hadn't invented, you know what it was? They hadn't invented boom arms yet.
No boom mics. It was hanging from the ceiling. So if you wanted to move it, you had to stop you had to stop everything. You had to take it down.
Had like crane booms. Like they literally within the year or so, or whatever, like the next few years, they had these long arching crane booms that were literally built for this very specific problem. That was the invention, the child invention of the mother necessity, right? That they're like, okay, well, we need to be able to move with these microphones more fluidly. How are we going to do that? So they build these giant boom arms. Let's just talk about the crazy scene. But before we do, you know, when you're working under hot lights, things get sticky. And you know what else gets sticky? Stickers. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, Riot Stickers is the sponsor of this channel. They're running a special promotion, 1,000 stickers, $79. It's 7 cents a sticker. It's got a UV coat on it. They're made out of vinyl. These things are weatherproof, man. You cannot sway them. We're doing an exclusive deal right here. You can only get it on this channel. Link is in the description. riotstickers.com/Frumess. Go there, get your 1,000 stickers, 7 cents a piece. You can't beat that price. I'm going to play the quick 60-second Less Than Jake video that everybody knows so well. Let's just pull that sucker up. There she is.
Posters and promo cards, there's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads, we can print on shirts, we can print on hats, we can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality, quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support, great customer service, and so much more. We are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the
bomb. So what did you think of Brad Pitt's character and his arc? What was he? Jack something? Jack Colson?
Jack
something.
Jack Lord, but what was his name? Jack something. And I was trying to figure out who was he, like, real person they were kind of like imitating. You know what I mean?
A little bit of Errol Flynn, a little bit of
just like maybe like a John Barrymore or something like that.
Yeah, lots of John Barrymore, who is the grandfather of Drew Barrymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely John Barrymore, just like the leading silent man.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is what ends up happening to him, his arc is really, interesting in that he can't really make the transition and everybody laughs at him. And there's a really interesting scene towards the end where he goes into they sort of make this character. She's probably based on someone real as well. This tabloid, she's like a tabloid queen.
Was it Hedda Hopper?
Yeah, something like that.
Columnist? Yeah.
She was older. And it's kind of interesting too, because with her age and the time frame that we were witnessing, she witnessed the dawn. She literally witnessed the dawn of movies. I mean, she was writing about movies before movies probably existed, or as movies started to come into existence.
Yep.
Because she must have been in her 60s or even 70s by that point.
That's a great little scene with her and Brad Pitt when Gene Smart plays the gossip columnist for the films.
It's like a gossip columnist, right?
Yeah.
And she's
Yep.
And she basically tells him how it is. He comes into her office being like, why the fuck did you,
She writes this article about is Jack through because he can't act with the talkies, but she's not being mean to him. She's just like writing an article that's like, is he done? Like if he's not cutting the mustard, what is and he's offended because he wants to keep going in the movie. But yeah, he's a laughing stock because he can't act after sound comes in. He can't deliver the lines properly. And he goes to her office and is like, why did you write this about me? And she's like, don't take it personally. Like, this is going to keep happening. Like, it's new things are going to keep happening. Everything's going to, we come and go. The people, the actors come and go. The gossip columnists come and go, but you're in the movies and you'll be there forever. You'll be enshrined in history, and you should be appreciative of that, even though.
And it starts in 23, so we are literally watching events that happened 100 years ago. And she says 100 years from now, people will be watching you on the screen. And she was like
early 30s, so like about 10 years, right? Probably like
right. Well, at that point, roughly, when she says it, when she says it to him, it's actually 90 years ago. But still, the point being that she's basically saying you have, you're worried about, your finite time left here now, which is basically run its course. But you are immortalized. She like kind of tried to paint him the bigger picture. And what's interesting is, I think that planted the seed for what eventually he would do. He self-ends himself.
Mm-hmm. It's a very sad scene. Yeah,
it's very sad, and I think that what ultimately allows him to do it is that conversation, his assurance that he will live forever and that people will be remembering him 100 years from now. Because she says, no one's going to remember any of us. No one's going to even know we existed, but they'll know you existed.
Mm-hmm.
And when he realizes that,
persona. Yeah, exactly.
When he realizes that his place is secured, he decides to allow himself to exit stage right, if you know what I mean. And he does it. And that scene also is very, very Boogie Nights-esque. We sort of follow him as he goes up the stairs. He gives his billfold to a bellhop. There's a great throwaway line. He says, "What's the highest tip you ever got?" And he said, $50. He said, "Who gave me that tip?" He said, "You did." And he gives him his whole billfold. I thought that was really great. He says, "Do something great with it," or something.
And one of the things about that scene is like the entire scene, even one of the better scenes, it's a very short scene when he's shooting that crappy movie that he's basically bailing them out for, and they're on the beach. It's like a monster movie or something. And he's talking to one of the PAs or the sound guy. He's like, how many movies? And he's an old guy, one of the crew guys. He goes, how many movies have we done together? And he's like, oh, about 80 or so.
82.
It's kind of, there's nothing else. That's the whole scene. But he's going to kill himself. It's not a surprise. Like as soon as he's like at the hotel with what's her name? The actress who does the pussy song in the beginning of the movie.
Right.
She's there and they're kind of having a conversation. You're like, he's going to kill himself. It's not a surprise. But it's just a very sad scene because he's working through the mentally, like how he's going to do it, like how he's going to leave all this stuff behind. He's saying goodbye to her, and it's just like, man, it was very melancholy, and it was every scene in this movie is so well executed. Like I can't stress that enough. This movie is amazing. I got to
tell you again, you're not expecting, they don't really, there's so much that's in the movie that you don't see it in the trailer. Like you just don't know.
They just didn't know how to market it. And I don't know why. They should have done it like a Tarantino Boogie Nights kind of thing. Just saying how crazy this movie is. And it would have done better. I really do. And just hype up the fact that Margot Robbie is insane in this movie and Brad Pitt is dashing. And
you could have literally said before Boogie Nights, before Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there was Babylon.
The gentleman, the young actor's name, I can't. Is it Dame? No, what's his name?
The Mexican guy,
the main character. Yeah, he's basically the main character. They don't feature him in the trailer at all, barely. Like he's He's
great, man. He's such a great presence, and
basically he's kind of
us. He is us. We're his avatar. Mm-hmm. And he just is enamored and in love with the process. He just wants to be a cog in the wheel, and he works his way up. And we get to this point where, he has this entanglement, this on and off entanglement with what's her name in the movie? What's her stage name in the movie?
Oh gosh, it's been 2 weeks since I've seen it.
Busty Sinclair or something. It's like whatever.
Yeah, it's a made-up name, but
Robbie's character's name.
Yeah.
And what happens is they eventually, she just gets and Eric Roberts and the snake. Oh my God!
Eric Roberts is her dad. Yeah, and she literally shows up in the movie in a stolen car, drunk, and just crashes into a statue. She's like, "Who put that fucking statue there?" And it's just like one statue in the middle of the whole.
Desert, the empty desert.
Entrance. And she just crashes the party because she wants to be famous. She wants to get noticed. And she gets noticed because there's a girl who ODs in a room with a guy. And I don't know, I think they alluded to the fact, she's a worker, but she's also like basically like a call girl too. So, but she works on set as well. Like that's how it was back then in the Wild West. They just got hot chicks to be in these movies, and that's all they needed to dance and to be sexy and stuff. They need to act, So, and that's why because she could act though. That was the kind of thing, but she never got respected as like a serious actress, even though she had this amazing charisma. They were like, yeah, you're good enough for this, but you're a skank, we're not going to really respect you.
Well, that was the thing, was she had talent, but she could never outlive her background and her accent.
She never escaped her past, and exactly. And she was a wild partier, and she was in trouble with money. And
she was Sharon Stone in Casino, literally.
She was Ginger from Sharon from
she
Casino.
was,
Absolutely.
and dude is always trying to bail her out. The main character, I gotta look up his name. I feel really bad.
I feel bad, yeah, because he's a really good actor.
I feel it's so disrespectful to not know his name.
Because I think it's the first thing I've ever seen him in.
He's not a completely familiar face. Well, let me see. It's coming up right now. Diego Calva. Yeah, Diego. Manny, right, of course. Manny.
He's really good.
So Manny is in the Robert De Niro kind of spot. He's always trying to like fish her out. She's a gambler and she gets into some deep
really dark stuff, not like comedic stuff, like really like these guys are gonna kill her. And
right. Well, they're gonna do way worse. They're gonna pour acid down her PUSSY. I can't say that word on YouTube. I'll get in trouble. They're going to pour acid down. I mean, like they just describe, and then they go to meet her, and we see Ethan Suplee in this wonderful little character spot where he's like hawking loogies. It's just so great.
Mm-hmm.
When you see Tobey Maguire in he's a ghoul.
Hideous makeup.
He's a ghoul, man.
Yeah.
He's just straight up ghoul.
Terrifying.
And then we get this reveal while we're there. We get this reveal that they have fake prop money, and
I saw that. I was like, it's like the scene in Boogie Nights when they
it literally is.
They go and they're like, Thomas Jane is going to rob the guy.
History repeats itself, literally.
Yeah. And they're like, it's just one of those scenes where like it's like the scene in Sicario when Benicio del Toro goes and kills the family and the kids, just like. At the end of the movie, you're just like, I'm in a really dark place right now, and I have not seen
Sicario yet.
Oh man, you got to see Sicario.
It's been on my list for some time. But here's the thing, and you could call that. I don't know if you would. It's Hitchcockian suspense.
Mm-hmm.
We learn from the characters something that the other character doesn't know, and suddenly the scene. The stakes are raised in the scene because we know that they have fake money and we're waiting for them to find out. And they get put into a really precarious situation because Tobey Maguire, he's got movie ideas and he's telling them about his crazy movie ideas. And then they're like, let's go to they call it the asshole of LA, which is just a dark, pitch black tunnel in the middle of nowhere. They go down these layers of debauchery.
Every single layer is a different crazy scary movie, like 8mm or something. And
well, no, it's David Lynch doing 8mm.
Yes,
like literally, what happens is Babylon just goes, hey, surprise, now we're in a David Lynch film. For no reason, for absolutely no reason.
And it doesn't come out of nowhere because this is a violent movie. And it's a dark film,
right? Yeah, true. Like, funny. Hey, you should know that this stuff is here because
so it's like, you're like, oh my god, but at the same time, you're like, it didn't exactly come out of left field, even though it feels like it did. The tone of the movie sets it up perfectly, I think.
The tone of the movie suggests that something like this could happen, but you still don't. I didn't think that this movie could take us to a place like this. And then once I was there, I was going, oh boy. This is, and I got to tell you, the way I saw it, I did something I haven't done in a long time. I went to McDonald's. I got 3 cheeseburgers. I put them in my pocket. I put a giant fry in my other pocket. I walked into the Alamo.
3 hours.
I sat in the dark. Yeah, I sat in the dark, and I had one of those pies, the hand pies.
Oh my god!
And I sat in the dark, and over the course of 3 hours, I ate my 3 cheeseburgers. Not just a cheeseburger, not the quarter pounders. And I can't tell you. I can't tell you the satisfaction of pulling a small cheeseburger out of my pocket and eating it while I'm sitting in a dark theater watching this beautiful piece of cinema. It was a wonderful experience. And then when we get to this scene and you just know, much like the other scenes, I mean, this guy, Damien, whatever his face is,
Chazelle.
He is a master. He is a master scenesmith. He knows how to take a scene. He's fantastic, dude. He knows how to friggin' He knows how to elevate a scene to this.
People forget this is the guy who made fucking Whiplash. Like, that movie is fantastic.
I also haven't seen Whiplash.
What?
I know. I need to see it. I know.
Jeffrey.
Hey, listen, I go to the movies a lot, Nate. I see stuff when I see stuff, but
Right,
yeah.
Sicario, Whiplash. I think those came from the same year too. You have some holes in your game in 2015.
By the way, I don't usually do best of lists, but since you went with yours, I'll tell you what mine were. Mine were Bones and All, Triangle of Sadness.
I got to see that one.
Oh, you do. The Menu.
The Menu is up there for me too.
And I think Babylon that's I really enjoyed Everything Everywhere All at Once. Really good film. I don't know if it's in my top, but it is. I really
What about Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
Oh yeah, that was also 2022. Yeah, that's up. Yeah, that's in my 5. Sure,
that's a great film.
Because yeah, it really was.
That movie was just fun. You could tell the people making that movie were just having a blast.
It was a really well done film. It was super meta. It was
about the joy of cinema too. It was great.
Yeah, I love movies that are about loving movies, and Babylon is that. Boogie Nights is that. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is that. There's just something really great, and where you have like something like, you have really serious films that like attempt to sort of do that. You almost need like just sort of like this zany, over the top, like almost flying off the rails energy to movies about making movies, because that's kind of what making movies is. And I feel like Babylon and Boogie Nights and all these films sort of have that energy,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I love these epic 3-hour movies.
Me too, man. And that's the other thing. It's like, I felt like I was watching a movie that was being made in the 90s. It's like, who takes risks on a 3-hour movie that has no idea anymore?
They used to be everywhere in the 90s. Yeah, every other week there'd be a 3-hour movie that comes out. You got,
or just whatever, like 2.5 hour, just like something like, but something that was original.
Well, you had was Carlito's Way or Braveheart or Casino or
sure. Oh yeah, that's true. Those are all pretty much 3-hour movies.
What else was like a 3-hour movie? But it's just those epics don't come out very often anymore. So I appreciate this movie down.
It's just everything is based on an established IP now. That's what's safe. And this is a movie, and we can see why the marketing didn't work, because they're like in a landscape where it's all about, oh, we have the IP to do the work for us. And listen, another film that I will applaud and champion for its marketing strategy is Megan. Because,
oh my God, yeah, they did a good job.
I mean, the idea to, hey, let's take this really strange part of the movie and let's see if we can get it to go viral.
Unsettling.
6 months.
Not a
6 months before that movie came out, that everybody knew who Megan was last October.
That it was going to be meme worthy. So the memes started coming, and that does the marketing for you.
It was free. It was free marketing. It was genius marketing. They tapped into the audience, and you know what?
And the movie doesn't suck either. Apparently, it's
it doesn't.
Movie. So
no, it's good. It's really good. Have you seen it? Have you seen it yet?
The gimmick, because like Snakes on a Plane, that movie sucks. Like, it's not a good film. You know what I mean?
It's not.
It had a great marketing campaign, a great gimmick, but it's not really a watchable film. Like, I heard that this movie's actually pretty decent. So
yes, it is decent. It is good. It is great, and it's PG-13. And what's interesting is, I heard somebody on Twitter, sort of lament the fact that it was PG-13. It's not it's a gory movie, but it's not, there's no gore in that kind of way. It's PG-13. But the thing is, what's interesting is it's like, hey, we have this army of TikTokers. This is where art and commerce, I kind of think, meet in the right place. Like, we have an army of TikTokers. If we make this movie rated R, we are shooting ourselves in the foot. We can bust this thing wide open, meaning not just about making money, about, hey, we can make more, we can do more, we can expand, we can open the door you know, if we find a way to tell the story in a PG-13 box. And so some people were like really like annoyed by that, but I was like, you know, that's really pragmatic of you. It's like, yeah, sure. It's like you're going to cut out some of the gorier stuff. You know, there's going to be like an unrated
There's
edition.
a director's cut coming, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw it online that there is, but it's just the idea that like they hit the nail with that marketing. Now, why couldn't they have done like something like that with Babylon? I don't know. It just
every now and then there's a movie that comes out that they just fumble the marketing. They just don't know what they have. I mean, look at that movie, how unique it is as far as what else has come out this year. Like there really isn't a movie to compare it to. So you have this big epic 3-hour movie made by a really, you know, a prestige director about a period in Hollywood. I guess it's probably for people that aren't like us that are really into movies, it's probably not an interesting topic, I guess. I don't know. Like, you know, it is Hollywood, but like, 1920s Hollywood, pre-Hays Code, you know, people are going to be like, well, what's that all about? So I don't know. I
blame the trailer. I really blame the trailer. They kind of made the trailer more Moulin Rouge-y, and they should have just, they really needed to sell us with the trailer. That would have been a good
I will be honest with you. If it wasn't Damien Chazelle was the draw for me, because I've seen Whiplash, I've seen La La Land, I've seen all his movies, and I love his films. So I was going to go see this no matter what because of the director. But I can imagine seeing the trailer for this, and if you're not a big Damien Chazelle fan, or you don't know who he is, or you haven't seen any of his movies, you're like, well, what is this? Like, what movie is this? I'll just wait for Netflix or whatever. So, you know, there's a lot of people that do that, and it's sad. It's sad that, you know, I don't like to film shame people, but I also don't want to be that guy that complains about Marvel movies at the same time too. But it really is, there are people that will only go see like the Marvel, DC, Pixar movies, Disney movies, and that's it. They don't go see anything else. And that's what these big studios count on, is for people to go to the movies to see these big tentpole films. And the middle class has been eradicated in film. It doesn't exist anymore. They're all on streaming. So you're either going to get a low budget film like Bones and All, which is great, a great film, and I'm glad I got to see it in the theater, or you get Iron Man 6. And there's nothing in between anymore. There's no $40 million, you know, Michael Douglas and Viggo Mortensen and Gwyneth Paltrow in A Perfect Murder coming this summer. Like, those movies don't exist anymore. There's no middle budget movies for adults to go see.
It's just, it does. And I don't know how it's going, how or when it's going to come back. I guess it really comes down to just knowing, or, you know, again, living in an area, hopefully, where you have places that play some of that fare. You know, I have my struggles personally. I go to the Alamo. You see how often I go to the Alamo. I'm constantly there.
Yeah.
As often as I possibly can. And even, you know, even I see the struggle, you know, various different little struggles, and I like complain, but at the end of the day, I'm spoiled rotten with all of the stuff that comes through there versus, say, some of the other.
Oh yeah, I try to see everything I can, but I'm a little scared that this stuff is going to go away soon. It's all going to go away, because look at the generations that are coming behind us. They don't really care about going to see. Well,
eventually, all right, I'll tell you something. You know what would be?
I'm not bemoaning that. It's a different generation. They're younger. Right. They have different priorities. I get that. But our way of going to see movies is dying out slowly.
It is. And I'm about to scare the shit out of you even more. Ready for this? Prepare for this. All right. Remember how we said earlier in this episode that the talking was the most significant development in all of history? Do you know what I think might be the next, and not for the better? If vertical video takes over, starts to be.
I'm not. I mean, it's already taken over, but I mean, are they going to play it in movie theaters? Because I'm not.
I don't. I would not. No, I would never. But
as a gimmick for like one or two movies, as a gimmick, maybe yes. But every single film, no, I couldn't do that.
Dude, I'm telling. But like people are shooting the wrong way. It's phones' fault too. It's because of phones. Phones are the reason why we have vertical video.
There's a whole generation of people grown up on phone videos, and they don't understand how to shoot a film. Like, they don't understand that. You know, it was the whole thing like in Letterboxd. Remember back in the day with letterboxing? You have your parents would be like, "What is this shit? Why are there black bars on the film?" And I'm like, yeah, this is the way you have to. That's the way it was shot. That's why they crop it like that, because it's more cinematic. That's how it's supposed to look, and they don't get it. They just want the whole screen.
When I used to work at like Sam Goody or FYE in these places, and people were like, should I get the full screen or the widescreen? And I always try and sell the widescreen, and I would say, look, you're going to have these two black bars, but you have to think about it like this. You're actually getting less movie. They cut off the sides of the movie.
They cut off the left and the right sides of the movie.
You're getting about 50% less movie.
And they actually digitally move the camera on pan and scan. It looks like shit.
Well, it's just insane. It's just insane that they would. Yeah, the pan and scan was absolutely. That was just insane. I think about vertical video being crazy. Well, actually, vertical video is probably the single most batshit thing. And I'll tell you, now as content creators, there's a whole sort of industry. There's like a freelance industry of people adapting and converting 16:9 to 9:16 video.
Yeah.
And it's fucking insane. This idea that you have to take something that was shot horizontally and adapt it vertically. It's crazy.
Yeah. You know crazy. What? I'm going to be that guy that buys a movie theater in the corner of a city somewhere.
Yeah.
Keeps running it till he drops dead with two screen theater.
God bless.
Keep playing movies on theater until I no longer am relevant. Like I really believe.
Well, that's old Nate, and that's his old movie theater. Right?
Exactly. It's my church. Is going to the movie theater. That's where I work.
It's cathedral. It's the cathedral.
I just
Holy Communion.
There are young cinephiles out there that like going to the movies. I just don't think that there's enough of them that it's going to last for more than maybe 20 years.
I just saw Faster Pussycat Kill on 35 at my Alamo, and it was a packed screening, and it was, man.
The communal experience, it's really important. So
it is, man. It really, really is.
I mean, I think there will always be theaters, even if it's in a very niche way, but like just going to like the days of the 90s when you saw everybody that you live near were at the movies to go see the Lost World, Jurassic Park, or whatever. You'd see your neighbors there, and everybody went to the movies. And now it's not so much.
That is a bygone. It's just a bygone era, man. That is that was just a lost time, and I'm grateful for it. I cherish it, and I mean, I don't know. It's like weird because then, like on like the flip side, we have what we have now is we have convenience, and
and that's why nobody's going to the movies anymore, is because you can watch everything at home. And I get that. It's very convenient. But if you give me a choice, like if you take the pandemic out of it, if you give me a choice to go see whatever, Matrix Resurrections, to go see it at home or in the theater, I'm choosing the theater every single time if I'm able to go.
Yes.
As
a matter of fact, oh no, you know what? Matrix, I did see it. I did see that at home, but generally, like Irishman, when Irishman came out on Netflix, I saw that in the theater.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Breaking Bad movie. I really do. I try, if it's playing in the theater, I'll always try and see it in the theater over that.
I've got a Regal IMAX near me, and the only reason I go is because they have an IMAX. And
dude, IMAX is the shit.
I saw Avatar in IMAX 3D, and I hate 3D, but it looked amazing. It looked fantastic.
Why don't they have any IMAX non-3D screens anymore? That's what I like.
They do. My screen is normally just a regular. I saw Ambulance there, Michael Bay's Ambulance in IMAX. It was fantastic. I don't know if I would have watched it outside of IMAX. It was just a great experience. But Avatar was the first time I had seen 3D in years. So
I was happy to just see it. I was fine seeing it in 2D. And that was the interesting thing too. I posted something online, and I was being hyperbolic and silly, but like I was also kind of serious in the sense that a lot of people, myself included, I was ready to slag on James.
It's a better film than the first one, and it's not a bad film at all. I liked it.
But I was laughing at the end because he's just like, hey, get a load of this. Now I'm going to do Titanic. Like, he's literally doing Titanic in Avatar. I was fucking dying. I was dying.
That movie was Titanic and aliens mixed together. And
it was just, I was dying. And Free Willy.
There's like 10 minutes where it's like a whaling documentary. It's like an outer space whaling documentary, and then there's a whole scene where one of the main characters is a whale.
He's a fucking madman.
They just talk to each other.
Fucking madman.
And he pulled it off. The crazy bastard pulled it off. I was like, what's happening to this whale guy? Like,
that's what I felt. That's exactly how I felt when I came out. When I realized that I was now watching like Titanic Mach 2, and I was just thinking like, what a fucking masterstroke to just like turn around and be like, you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna do Titanic, but I'm gonna do it with the blue aliens on the Pandora planet. I'm like, all right, because James Cameron, he's like, look, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but I also am going to reinvent the wheel all at the same time. You know what I mean?
It's like, I'm just going to make all these characters Na'vi. Like, everybody, even if they're humans, they're all Na'vi now. Like, that's what you want, right, guys? So
he's like, oh, we're going to bring the bad guy back, but let's make him a Na'vi now.
Yeah, he's a Na'vi too. We'll just have Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords and
just randomly. Oh, and I love how like
marine biologist for like 30 minutes. Just
the whole fucking like the whole like crux of why they're even on Pandora at this point is like mentioned in one small cutaway scene where he's like one little scene. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, this stuff is why we're even here in the first place.
This doubles human lifespans right here. Oh,
just
by the way, kind of
just a throwaway line. Just a throwaway line. Like, wait, what? Like, it's like, because it's got to have a pretty good reason. Why the fuck are they hunting these whales? And it's like, that's a pretty good reason to hunt a whale. It's like, immortality, fine. But like the point being is that like, what I wrote online was, you hate movies if you didn't enjoy this movie. And like, that's like a really snobby thing to say, but like, I feel like it's kind of true in the sense that like, you can't deny going to the movies and just enjoying a 3-hour, 20-minute spectacle on a film whose hype died a year after it was the greatest grossing movie of all time. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wanted it.
Exactly. I haven't seen the first one since I saw it in theaters. I had no
like, who cares? And he's like, no. He's like, no. I'm going to give it to you. You're going to like it and you're going to enjoy it. And I'm going to make another. And you know what he said too? Someone, again, like I just got, it's just like, he really is. He's like a modern day cowboy, James Cameron. They say, James, the movie can't be nearly 4 hours long. What are people going to have an intermission? What are people going to do when they get up to go to the bathroom? He says, oh, they'll just catch it when they go to see it the second time. Like whatever they missed. And I was like, damn, the balls on that guy.
We spent all the time on that tech. The movie looks really good. Like
the water.
I was never like, oh, that's fake. Or that looks
there's some stuff that's a little goofy, but
yeah,
like
but overall, I was impressed with how good.
I was blown away. Like the detail, like it really was. You could tell that he had taken things to another level. And this really does all tie back to Babylon, because Babylon at the very end of the movie, which is also another really great, it was really well done. The movie, I will say this about Babylon that I didn't like. I really felt like they didn't know kind of what to do with Manny at the end. I love the way that she disappears into the night, and it makes perfect sense for her. She disappears.
I his final scene when he comes back with his family. And he in that whole, I kind of teared up during that scene.
Well, I liked it when he was in the movie theater, when he goes on what I like to call, you know what it was? He went through 2001: A Space Odyssey
when he was tripping balls,
but for movies. Yeah. He was like basically just like he was basically space tripping.
I love that scene. I was like, this is really cool. But I can imagine like a regular person going to see that and be like, what is this? Like,
just not understanding. They just don't understand. What that meant, what that was signifying, and I sat there in complete awe of it. So while I wasn't really happy with how Manny's arc kind of ended, I did love that. It's like, how else do you end a movie like Babylon, but just show us like the 2001: A Space Odyssey equivalent of.
Well, it's going back to the thing. He's the cipher for the film. He's us,
right?
So it's just like
it's almost like he's reborn in
comes
the
back
movies.
around. You're going through that history. You know, you're going from the 30s to now.
Good
I
point.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
It was good, but no, that's a valid point too. They could have put a little bit more into the character, I think, but I think they were.
Yeah, he just sort of languishes. I mean, I will say they do kind of languish a little bit. I think Brad Pitt has by far the most well-developed arc in the film. Like everybody else kind of comes and goes. Brad Pitt has a really well-defined arc that carries through, but then after he dies, after he exits, we're sort of left, scrambling about. It's this kind of like, in a way,
maybe it was intentional. It was chaotic after he died. Like there's,
good point.
It's like goodbye to the old film stars. Here's this chaotic new talkies. Like that scene, we haven't even talked about it. The scene where they're going to screen the Jazz Singer in New York. Go check it out and tell us what you think. I mean, and the Jazz Singer isn't even that great of a film, but
no, it's not. But
it was the first talkie, and people were singing and dancing in the movie, and the people were losing their minds because they had never seen anything like that before. And he's like, "Wow, everything's going to change," and it really did. And like that kind of chaotic feeling, like these silent film stars are gone. They either can't work anymore, they've killed themselves, they drink themselves to death, and now there's this new frontier of talkies, of talking actors. And I don't know, it kind of felt like it was off the rails a little bit, especially what happens to Manny and that scene in the church with Manny and what is Margot Robbie's character's name again? I can't remember her.
Are you talking about it? Are you talking about at the very end when
Ellie.
when they're
Ellie
going to like
Manny, when they're going to run away because she's in hock to these gangsters?
Right.
The whole Tobey Maguire scene, like the money's fake and he escapes barely with his life, and they're going to run away, and they're in a church, like, let's get married, let's go to Mexico. It's all chaotic and hectic.
Oh yeah. By the way, so he goes to the makeup. They go to pick up the makeup art. They go to pick up the prop guy to go run off because they're going to run off with the prop guy too, who is, by the way,
he's a dealer too. Yeah.
He is this character. He's like this Dracula cape wearing prop man.
He's their dealer. He's also like a magician.
Yeah, he's like Dr. Gonzo. He's got like a suitcase full of drugs.
Yeah.
And he's a magician and he does all these things. And his roommate is just like, this is a very 90s scene or a very 90s character in.
He's the guy in Miller's Crossing. You remember Miller's Crossing? He's like Jock Johnson. He's the guy sitting there eating cereal.
You're right.
I thought that was kind of a nod to like Miller's Crossing or something.
And he goes, hold on real quick. Hey, HMX, you have to see Babylon. And I just want to say thank you so much. I just saw that you became a Patreon just now in my email. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. But he's just sitting there eating cereal and then he nonchalantly goes, hey, and then it gets fucking blown.
Well, he's like Brad Pitt on the couch in True Romance or whatever.
Right? Yeah, a little bit. That was a very violent scene.
It was very violent. The ending is very violent. From the Tobey Maguire scene on, it's very, very dark and violent.
Let's real quick before we wrap things up. I just want to dive a little bit deeper into this Tobey Maguire scene because, like I said, I don't know where the hell this thing is going.
He's in the trailer because you can see
he's in the trailer, right?
Very quickly, and so the whole time I was like, when is Tobey Maguire going to show up? Like,
see,
and it's at the very last 40 minutes of the movie. Like,
yeah, he's at the very end, and his character is insane, as we said, but. When they're going and the dread that's what I was feeling when I'm watching.
Oh yeah, he's like no, we gotta go, and he's like
it's just dread. He's so persuasive, and it's like what is going to be on the lowest floor of this debaucherous? Because we're just going through Dante's Inferno. It's literally we're going down further into the depths of hell, and we don't know what is coming, and basically spoilers. No, I'm not going to say it because this guy, HMX Band, is here and he says he's not seen Babylon yet. So let's not.
It involves pit fighting, an alligator, and
oh god! And the alligator is a Chekhov's alligator, which literally had me. I was kicking my seat, the front seat. I was so filled with glee that alligator wasn't Chekhov's alligator. I'm like, that is fucking like when you show something, it has to be a promise. And I think about now when I watch movies, everything is a promise. And then by the end of the movie, there are fulfilled promises and there are unfulfilled promises.
Setups and payoffs, baby. You got to set them
Setups
up
and
pay 'em
payoffs,
off.
man. I really want to thank Nate so much. We are at the hour roughly, and we're being good boys tonight. I want to thank Nate so much for coming on and talking shop like always. Nate, in the future, next time we do we got to get you on. I don't think we've had you on a top five countdown yet. That is like so much fun. The way it works is it's kind of like a game of horse, except not at all, where you don't know what my 5 are and I don't know what your 5 are. And if one of my picks is one of your picks, you have to take it off your list and replace it. Yeah. So it's like you're kind of knocking each other out. Like
I'm down for that.
Yeah, it is such a simple thing, but it is so Bob and I have had a lot of fun with that. And I think
Bob is great. Yeah.
So you'll have to do that. I don't know. We plugged everything at the beginning, really. Just go listen, follow Nate on Twitter. All of his links are down there. I told Nate to make a link tree so that I wouldn't have to remember all his
Check
links.
out my books. I've got Love Potion 666,
Books.
Grindhouse Action Novella, and Comfy Cozy Nihilist is my short story collection. It's out on Friday.
Yeah, dude.
Don't forget the Genreblast Film Festival. I run that every Labor Day weekend.
Definitely. Yes, we love Genreblast here at this channel for many reasons. But yeah, this guy, dude, he never stops. This friggin' guy, I gotta like every time I see him doing shit, I'm like going, fuck, gotta do something. I gotta get going. I gotta do something.
I'm doing what I can do.
Do what you can do. With that, I'm gonna say peace, hair grease. Check out the Patreon. Check out Nate's links. We will see you next time.